the different speakers. So I will just do the welcome. I'm Sofia Franconi from IHE-Europe, and my two colleagues, Jürgen Brandstatter, who is Global Standard Director as IHE Catalyst, will present to you the EHR Projectathon test cases, and Nicole Veggiotti, who is European Affairs Project Owner at IHE Catalyst, will present Gazelle and will give you more information about the registration and the practical information. So I think there are already 30 people in the room, so I guess we can start. So I'll leave the floor to you, Jürgen, for the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, this part of the webinar is about to give you an impression on the Projectathon test cases we have developed. So if you forward one slide, please. So first and foremost, there is of course the testing of the 5 or actually 6 implementation guides for the EHDS data priority categories. So, you know, there are discharge summary, laboratory report, imaging report, patient summary, and e-prescription, e-dispense, FHIR implementation guides are available. And it's a priority for the European Commission that those are put for test. So if you plan to implement that, or if you already have a prototype, or even if you have a product, please attend, because for those who already have implemented those implementation guides, they will be able to test them. But we will also have a lot of education around it, and you can share your experiences with others and learn from others if you are still in the planning phase. But it is of great interest of anybody related to the EHDS that you come and familiarize yourself with these specifications. The registering for this works as usual for a Connectathon. That means you just select the respective actor, and then you get the respective test in it. Testing will be done with Gazelle, and in this special case, we have a special connection to the EHDS digital testing environment, DTE. That's the one which the Commission is providing for the testing of these use cases. And it's a great opportunity for you to familiarize yourself also with that Commission test tool. So click here, please. So here you find the links to the implementation guides. For those new, we have a U base that's more or less defining the core specifications for Europe for patients and practitioners and so on. So the EU base is practically part of all of the other implementation guides. And then we have e-prescription, e-dispense, European patient summary, which is based on the international patient summary. Discharge summary, a laboratory report, which is aligned to the international laboratory report specification FHIR, and imaging report. And some of them are even available in FHIR release 4 or 5, so you can choose. These implementation guides are maintained by IHE-Europe, and all of this is like is running under the EURODIS cooperation between IHE-Europe and IHE-Europe. So IHE-Europe and IHE-Europe have teamed up to support the developments around the EHDS, and that's called EURODIS. Next slide, please. This more detailed slide gives you the links to the concrete implementation guides. also with some numbers on the percentage of completion. So you see they are not fully complete, as all of the specifications around the EHDS are not fully complete. So that's a huge disclaimer which we need to make. All of this is like on the road to the EHDS, but it's not the final specifications yet. It's too early for that. And the implementation acts are currently written within the European Commission, and they are the ones who actually, in the final end, regulate everything. Next slide, please. Content testing is done as a so-called no-peer test. So you can come as a content creator. This actor is called content creator actor. So if your software is able to create, for example, a lab report or any of the other documents, then please register for a content creator to that respective type. For example, discharge summary, content creator. But also if you are just able to consume that content, because that's the other part of the story, you might as well also come to participate in this projectathon. As a content consumer, as this actor is called, you just need to demonstrate that you are able to display the content of that kind, for example, a lab report. Next slide, please. The other part of the single profile testing, as we name it, is the registering for an actor of one of the transactional profiles, which are attached to the XDHR Projectathon. So in particular, those are the following profiles: CT, ATNA with the RESTful ATNA extension, PDQM as patient demographics query in the FHIR version, QEDM, the query for existing data in the FHIR version, and MHD, which is the RESTful transport of medical documents. And again, yeah, please come with your prototype, or even if you plan to implement it, because that gives you a huge kickstart, and you'll find much better into your development. The testing is for that done like at a connectathon, so it's the typical tests for Gazelle, in Gazelle for those profiles. If you click one time, please. Yeah. Okay, that was for the wrong thing. So I wanted to just say that these profiles are tested as they are. So there are no like European specific amendments, changes, or extensions to it for now. But we must be aware that most likely there are some to come. That's a huge disclaimer. So these profiles which are tested here are as close as we can get to what's coming, probably. But again, it's not the final specifications, but it's at least a good way for that. So yeah, now click, please. So a part of the single profile testing, we also do workflow testing, and now it's getting interesting. So if you advance one more, please. The deliverable 5.1 of XDHR has developed this drawing, and it is described as the idealized exchange between two interoperability components. You know, the interoperability component is the one who falls under the regulation of the EHR requirements together with the logging component. And you see here there are some steps like authorization, patient lookup, document search and retrieval, and the resource search and retrieval. And we have profiles for this. So, for example, the authorization is the IUA profile. That's basically OAuth. technology, state of the art at the moment. The patient lookup is PDQM. Document search and retrieval, if you search for fire documents on a fire server, then it's IHE-MHD. And the resource search would be QEDM. Now, if you click once, yeah, now comes the huge disclaimer. Yeah? Again, these are not the final specifications and standards used in EHDS. That's what was developed and is proposed by XDHR. But we still need to wait, what the implementation acts finally tell us. So next slide, please. For the workflows, we have divided the workflows according to the priority categories. So we have discharge documentation workflows, laboratory documentation workflows, patient summary workflows. And then regarding to imaging, we have imaging documentation workflows and image access workflows. They are quite different. That's why we have given them two different categories. For the clinical documentation workflows, we offer them in basically two grades of maturity. So the basic workflow, the one to start with, we call that simplified, is the minimal number of workflow steps to demonstrate the essence of the workflow, which is the handling of clinical documents. So either sending them or retrieving them. And what we also offer are enhanced workflows, which are more realistic, which include the authentication step and the patient ID search step, for example, as we have seen it in the slide before. And in which workflows you are going to test is defined by which actors you select at registration. Next slide, please. The details on that workflows look like this. So we have for discharge documentation, for example, we have workflow DR1, create and send a discharge summary. And DR2 is the other way around, query, retrieve, and display a discharge summary. That's the basic workflows. And then we have 3 and 4, which is basically the same, but including authentication and patient search steps. That's what we call the enhanced workflows. The same goes basically exactly the same for laboratory report and patient summary. Next slide, please. And also for the imaging report. For the imaging report, we handle exactly in the same way as the other document types. After that, starting with workflow IM1, we are going more into the direction of the image access. So we divided that between the imaging manifest, which is still sort of belonging to the document workflow in a way, because the manifest is also some resource or a course object. And the actual creation of the manifest and the processing of the manifest and the retrieving of the DICOM objects, we have put in the image access workflows. So somehow they belong together, but it was carved out that the pure sending and the querying and retrieving of a manifest still goes under the documentation workflows. That was decided by the radiology group in the team. So we have IM1 is sending the imaging manifest to a receiving system, query and retrieve, and then the same with the described authentication and patient search steps. And then IA 1 to 3 are the ones who are really just dealing with the images. That's where the MADO profile comes in and the XC-VADO profile. So the first one is only on the creation of the imaging manifest. So that's an own workflow if you want to create the imaging manifest in the right way. And the other two, so the second one is to process that. So you have it already in your hands because you have queried and retrieved it in IM2. And then you process it and start retrieving the DICOM objects. And that's the IO2, that's MADO. And IA3 is the same, but in a cross-community setting, meaning that's XIVADO. Next slide, please. So as an example, if you, for example, have a client system and you register for the following actors, like I'm a laboratory report content creator. For CT, I'm a time client. I mean, just I had that in the last webinars already, but CT is a very simple profile to synchronize the times. It's basically just query a time server for the right time. And I can act as a document source in the MHD profile. If you select those three at registration, please click once. Then you end up, please click one time. Then you end up with this suite of tests which you get to work on. So first you get all of the single tests for all of the actors registered. That's always the case. But additionally, since those three together form workflow LR1, you automatically get that test for that workflow in your list. And if you click one more, if you would, for example, additionally to that before, also select that you are a content consumer for a laboratory report and that you are a document consumer in the MHD profile, meaning that you are able to retrieve and display laboratory reports, you get automatically also the second use case, the second workflow into your list, which is the query, retrieve, and display a laboratory report. But only the basic workflows, because you have not selected, for example, IUA or PDQM. Next slide, other example, if you select like that list, so now at the example of a discharge summary, so you, for example, say you are a discharge summary content creator and you can consume it, time client, okay, and then you can receive and send in MHD. And you also are able to do ATNA, which is the secure application part, so that meaning that you are able to have a secure communication, IUA and PDQM. And if you click here, then you get additionally to the other tests, workflow DR1 and 2, you also get DR3 and 4, which are the enhanced workflows, including all of these other steps. And now lastly, if you click one more, that you see how a step looks like, for example. So for the clinical workflows, they are have all the same steps. It's only the document type which is differing. You all start with step 1, that you synchronize your time against the time server, and then that you create a document, the one you have registered for, discharge summary, lab report, imaging report, or patient summary. And in this step, you scrutinize this document with the validator so that we know that it is correct. And after it is correct, you send it in step 3 as a document source with either an ITR 65 or ITR 105 to a document recipient actor. By the way, if you have a server system, so you have a server system which can play, for example, the document recipient, then please also register, because then you are the counterpart to all of the clients. So the examples were only for clients, but also if you have a server system, you're able to take part in this, because these are peer-to-peer tests. So this is actually the ideal situation, that you have clients communicating with server applications, meaning with FHIR servers or applications who have that interface. And the second example, take one more, please, is the enhanced. No, sorry, that's the query and retrieve. That's also starting with the synchronized time. And then you query first for document list and document reference. The profile requires that you are able to perform both queries, ITI 66 and 67. So you act as a document consumer and the server system acts as a document responder. And then you retrieve a document. So you retrieve one of the document types for which you have registered. Let's say a laboratory report. Of course, we make sure that the document responders have laboratory reports which you can receive. And then the last step, after you have retrieved it, you need to show it. And this is done by the monitor person who actually literally shows up at your workplace, and you need to show this person that you are able to display that document as a content consumer. I believe that was the last slide. And click on me. Yeah, that was the last slide. Thank you. I mean, shall we go on questions right now or at the end?
Maybe we can change a bit, Jürgen, but Sophia, please tell if you think differently and just answer questions now, and then I will show in Gazelle. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then I read in the chat, I have the do you have higher level business workflow documentation? What you presented was for retrieving documents. In our case, laboratory reports, which is roughly IHE-MHD. In our diagnostic setting, this is a subset or option around our main testing workflow, IHE-LTW. Okay, I'm not an expert in LTW, to be honest, but
I think it's probably easy to say I got a little bit confused on how you presented it, because I think I understand it now. So
okay.
Roughly within IHE-LTW, I would class that as the workflow. So you send in an order, you get a report back. That's the basic workflow. Within our system, what you're describing appears to be just how you get the report back. So it's a subset. It's just very high level workflow description. That's all I was after.
Yes. So what we are here like not deep in the laboratory workflows, because you can see that interoperability component as like I'm communicating my final laboratory report, for example, to the national infrastructure, to another system, and so on. So that's where we come from. That's where EHR comes from. Yeah, so sort of the outside-facing interface of your laboratory system. Okay, then we have another comment. There's quite a bit overlap in LGBTQ PDM with the recently started EU Health Data API initiative. Yeah, I think that Health Data API initiative is exactly, so to clarify, the Health Data API initiative was the work group or part of that work group who developed those workflows. So yes, there is an overlap, and this is because we had the members of this API initiative in that work group to figure out what are the workflows which we want to test. We of course need to fulfill many desires here. So the Commission has priorities, and EHR has priorities, and the industry has priorities. And we believe with that setting, we have found like a compromise between all of those. Will the EHR Projectathon cases be aligned with the EU EHD API specs, for instance, PS retrieval? Yeah, I'm not sure if I get the question right, but if the question aims for some transactional special stuff which we need to do for Europe, then you're right. I mentioned that in the beginning, or at least that's what I meant with these transactions, which we test here, are the plain standard transactions which we have in IHE. But we know that we will need to do extensions to those transactions to fulfill the European requirements. And the problem is only that this is just in the making, and we have no chance to get them even close to final before March. That's why we have decided in the group, and that's why this big disclaimer is here. We test this, but for the transactions, also for the we test this now, but for the transactions, we probably next year will have some specialized European transactions. But of course, we hope that they are like just amendments to the current ones. So, and not something completely different, which I don't believe how it would possibly can be, because the transactions we are talking about standard RESTful transactions from clients to fire service. So there will be not much. It will be in the details. That's what I'm saying. And maybe last word, because I forgot to mention it. We will also make sure that the test cases contain like specific test data, which you need to put in the document if you act as a content creator. So, for example, for laboratory report, there will be an instruction, please generate a lab report with where these and these and these and these and these elements are filled. This is because there are obligations defined by EHDS, which are on a higher level as the fire implementation guide. Like something which is in the implementation guide, for example, required if known, but there is actually the obligation that the system has to populate it, be able to populate it. And in order to check that, at least to the widest extent possible, we have decided to say, okay, even if this field is just required if known, which means you can technically leave it away because you say, I don't know it, since the obligation is that you shall be able to populate, we will ask you for a value for this. This is also a compromise in how we can test those sorts of obligations. And you must see all of this as a big trial. That's the first time that we do an EHR Projectathon. So this is also, we need your feedback. If you come and you sit there and you test and demonstrate your product by testing it, that's also a very important factor. We will have a lot of people around who are from the Commission, for example, who are quite interested in what's going on in the market. So this is also an important factor, and it's also important to get your feedback, on how the testing was for you, was it useful, and so on. Okay. I believe that was. Are there other questions? No.
No, thank you, Jürgen. Yes, you did answer my question, and I fully appreciate that it's not possible to have everything aligned before March, but as a first step, sounds great.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
I think there was a hand raised, but I don't see it anymore.
That was from me, Sophia, but Jürgen explained it already. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So thank you all. Thank you, Jürgen, for the presentation. And now we'll leave the floor to Nicole that will explain a bit more what's going to happen in Gazelle. Nicole, you want to share your screen?
Sure. I will share my screen. I would like to say that we are in progress of creating the test cases. So here in this sort of demo, we will see some examples also taken from Jürgen's presentation. So we will see Jürgen presentations a bit in action in Gazelle. So let me share my screen, full screen. Sophia?
Yes, we see
Okay,
it.
perfect. So we will see some example in the Gazelle in the demo Gazelle session. I've pre-registered for you some system, and we will see per each system which integration profiles and actors are registered for that system, and which test cases you will execute during the EHR projectathon. So first of all, let's focus on the first step. So the content validation system, we see that the profile actor register is a patient summary content creator. And in the test repository, we see that the test case we will be able to see is this one. So this one will be the content validation of the patient summary. And this relies on the HS7 implementation, HS7 FHIR implementation guides Jürgen was talking about before. Then let's go on with the registration. We see patient summary producer, simplified version, and we will see also in Jürgen's slides which is the test case I'm referring to. Just to let you know, the profiles, the integration profiles and actors for which this system is subscribed is consistent time, of course, time client. It's a document source of MHD, and as before is a patient summary content creator. And the test cases he will subscribe to are for sure the validation we have seen before, so patient summary validation, but not only this one, also the create and send patient summary simplified version that we will see in Gazelle. Before, let me take the Jürgen slides just to recap a bit. This is the create and send simplified version. And as you can see in this test case, we have the sequence diagram. So you should synchronize your clock with the time server, both on the producer, but also on the EHR server system side. Then you will be able to upload your JSON file and verify with the HS7 implementation guide, and then use the ITI 65 transaction or the ITI 105 transaction. Then let me go on with the consumer. Here we have, again, time client for the integration profile CT. We have now document consumer on the MHD profile and content consumer on the patient summary part. So on the test repository, we won't see the patient summary validation because this is a consumer, but we will see the query and retrieve patient summary simplified. Just give me the chance to take Jürgen's slide. I'm referring to this test case in which you see we have CT time client, MHD content consumer, and patient summary content consumer. And for the test steps, we will have exactly the same for the CT. We will have to synchronize the clock with the time server and do some transactions for the MHD part. Then let me take the producer, not simplified but realistic version. I will show you just the profiles and actors that are included here. We have added the ATNA profile IOA profile and PDQM. So you will be able to access to both the patient summary validation with the implementation guides, plus the realistic version of the create and send patient summary. For the other one, that is consumer, you will be able to access to the query, retrieve, and display the patient summary, but with the realistic version. If we want to create instead, since Jürgen before was talking about the EHR server, okay, let's put this spot, EHR server. Okay, let me save it. At this point, we should be able to register for the time server, and we should be able to register to the MHD, but of course, document recipient. And then you can access, of course, to these test cases as EHR server actor. So I think this was okay for the Gazelle part, but I have another part, Sophia, if you want to share the slides.
Yes, I think it's still you, Nicole.
Yes, it's still me. So next slide, please. So just a bit to wrap up what we said also in the previous webinar, some organizational aspects of this EHR Projectathon 2026 that will take place at the IHE-Europe Connectathon week on the Connectathon floor from Tuesday 24th March to Thursday 26th. But on Monday afternoon, we will have a session dedicated to connectivity and preparatory tests in Gazelle. So for those who have system, the EHR Projectathon 2026 start on Monday instead of Tuesday. Where at the EGG, that is about 15 minutes walk from Gare du Midi. Next slide, please. Okay, we have foreseen for you a dynamic agenda. You will see that there are also educational sessions in parallel of the testing, and we will be able to share a more detailed agenda probably in the next webinar and also on our website. Next slide, please. Regarding the systems, since we have received some questions about it. System fee 790, but for systems that are already registered at the IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026, the system registration fee is discounted to 0. Each participant should pay 450 euros. For companies or organization participants that are already registered for the IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026, of course, the registration fee is 0. However, for any additional participant of company organization that are registered in the IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026, the registration fee is still 450. In this slide, you can find the registration link. And if your company is already registered in the ClickUp form, just to let you know, you will receive your contract soon and an email for registering in Gazelle and start registering on integration profiles and actors that we see today. Just to remember you, we will close the registration at the end of February. Next slide, please, because I think we have one slide more. Yes, we will have another webinar on the 13th of February. It's Friday. Same time slot, if I'm not mistaken, so 11 Central European time. And we will be able to share with you the agenda and the tools that we will use, plus the DT integration. So to register, Sophia inserted in this slide the link, and stay tuned. I think this was my last slide, Sophia. We are 2 minutes in advance.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. Are there any questions for Nicole or other for Jürgen?
Yeah, so for the Gazelle, we need to wait for the email asking to register, right?
Yes,
Because I tried
yes.
to register and it didn't work
Yes,
right
because
now.
the Gazelle, the XTHR Projectathon part in Gazelle, it's on another instance. It's not on the Connectathon floor instance. So you will receive another email
Yeah,
in which
yeah,
you.
But I tried to
You tried
connect. I was able to connect to this EHDS Gazelle, enter my name, my company, etc. But then it fails to send me an email to confirm. So.
Oh, okay. So I think
Yeah.
we will investigate because you should be able to access it.
Yeah, I was able to access, enter my name, my company name, and then it says it failed to send me the email of confirmation. So
Okay, we will investigate. I think Angel
yeah.
also is in the call, so we will investigate further for that for sure. Thank you, Bruno,
Okay.
for pointing that out.
As was said in the chat, also the slides will be made available on the link that I've put in the chat. In the link, you will have also everything that Nicole explained on the practical information. So do not hesitate to go there and look at what's available.
Sophia, I think I forgot to say one thing. If you can please go on the organizational aspects. I think it's slide one more up. No, two. When there are the fees. Because we have set up an email if you have any questions. Yes, thank you so much, Sophia. We have set up an email. If you have any question, I will reply to you at this point to my email address. So please contact us and we will be able also to answer if you have any question in the next days.
If there are no more questions, I think we can close now. Stay tuned for the webinar of the 13th of February, and we hope to see all of you there. Thank you to the speakers and thank you to the participants.
Thank you, Sophia.
See you.